already breathing down her neck, taking too keen an interest in her dig. It was only a matter of time before they discovered the real reason she was out here, and worse, that she had lied to them. On top of that was the letter that had arrived last week from the Foundation, informing her that unless she produced some positive results from the dig soon, her grant would not be renewed. The funds would stop. "But I'm so close," she thought as she went from shack to shack, pounding on doors. "I just know I'm going to find the well soon. All I need is to be allowed to do my work without these infernal interruptions. Hungerford, where are you?" As Catherine neared the trailer that served as the construction office, she suddenly heard a commotion behind her. Turning, she saw in the sunlight breaking over the gulf Hungerford's Arab workers running toward the blast site. Catherine watched for a moment as the men gathered in a knot at the base of a cliff where the dust was just settling, and when she saw how they gestured and shouted to one another, exclaiming over something one of the workers had found, Catherine felt her stomach tighten. She had witnessed the same excitement before, at digs in Israel and Lebanon, when something big had been uncovered. Suddenly, she too was running, jumping over rocks and around boulders, arriving at the group just as their boss, Hungerford, was pushing his way through, saying, all right, who said y'all could stop working?" The stout Texan removed his bright yellow hard hat and raked his hand through reddish hair. "Morning, Doc," he said when he saw Catherine. "All right, boys, what's going on?" The Arabs began talking at once as one of them held out what looked like an old yellowed newspaper. "What the blazes?" Hungerford said with a frown. "May I?" Catherine said, taking it from him. As the men fell silent, she turned the paper over to inspect it. Her eyes widened. It was a fragment of papyrus. Pulling a small magnifying glass out of the pocket of her khaki blouse, Catherine examined the fragment closely. "Jesus," she said suddenly. Hungerford grinned. "Blaspheming, Doc?" "No, it's written here. See? It says Jesus in Greek." Hungerford narrowed his eyes at the spot where she was pointing. I-E-S-O-U-S. What's it mean? Catherine looked at the papyrus, honey gold with neat black writing, the letters predating modern Greek. Had she stumbled upon what every archaeologist dreamed of? No, it was just too good, too far-fetched to be true. "It's probably the work of some 4th-century mystic," she murmured, brushing back a long strand of auburn hair that had escaped from the clip at the nape of her neck. These hills were full of ascetic hermits in those days, and Greek was the common tongue at the end of the Roman Empire. Hungerford scanned the barren region to their left, jagged cliffs emerging stark and raw in the light of the rising sun. The wind that always blew along this shore seemed to pick up. The 2 Americans and the Arab workers thought they heard a strange whistling in the air, like steam or vapor escaping. Hungerford brought himself back to the fragment. "Is it worth anything?" Catherine shrugged. "It depends on its age, and—" she raised her eyes to his. "What it says." "Can you read it?" "I would need to take it into my tent for a closer look. The writing is faded, and the papyrus is rotted away in places, and this last part here, the bottom of the fragment is torn off at this point. It would help if we found the rest of it." "All right," Hungerford boomed as he stepped back and replaced his hard hat. "Let's see where this came from. 5 Egyptian pounds to the first man who finds more papyrus. Yalla, boys." They began to search the blast site, an area of rubble consisting mostly of limestone and shale, and when one of the workers saw something sticking out from under a rock, they all fell upon it. But it turned out only to be the front page of the International Times, dated 2 days ago, most likely carried here on the wind from one of the nearby tourist hotels. Catherine saw the headline, Millennium Fever, and the sub-headline, Is the World Going to End in 20 Days? Beneath was a photograph of St. Peter's Square in Rome, where people were already gathering to hold round-the-clock vigils as they waited for the world clock to tick over from 1999 to 2000 in less than 3 weeks. Finally,